everybody.
Hello. Good morning. Thank you all for joining us. It is right at 11 o'clock, so we are going to be mindful of the time and go ahead and get started. First, I wanted to introduce myself. My name is Michelle Pierce. I am one of the newest education consultants to the computer science team at DPI. And I am excited that you all are here to learn more about the Kira course. So the course that we're going to be talking about today is CS10 Introduction to Computer Science. It is one of the courses that can be completed in middle school in order to satisfy the high school graduation requirement. So with that being said, I am going to pass things over to Lauren from Kira, who's going to start us off.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much, guys. I'm going to go ahead and share my screen. Okay. Can we see that? Okay, great. All right. So my name is Lauren. I'm here at Kira. I live in Florida. I was a former fourth grade teacher, taught in Florida for a little over 6.5 years, and then I've transitioned into kind of like the ed tech space, but I also taught computer science courses when I was teaching at the middle school. So very briefly, so I'm not an expert in any way, but we've brought Courtney also from Kira, and she's going to really go into kind of what the CS10 course looks like. To start off, I'm going to give you just a little bit of background on Kira so that you're familiar with the platform that the CS10 course is in. Let me... Okay, so a little bit about Kira. So Kira was actually founded with a belief that essentially AI can fundamentally transform how instruction is delivered. So it's personalized and it's scaled. And then we're bringing really, really great and smart people to the team, part of Stanford, NASA, JPL, Google Brain, and Coursera. I've got a few screens going here. Okay, so most of the schools today are really kind of like stitching together a patchwork of separate tools. One might be for tutoring, one might be for assessments, curriculum, another for like MTSS tracking. I know that was something that when I was in the classroom, that was happening a lot. I'd have to go out to a lot of different places to really teach throughout the day. And so this does create some like gaps, not only for teachers, but also for students to kind of know where to go. So Kira is a single end-to-end platform. This can handle personalized curriculum. It's also going to be able to handle, assessments, adaptive instruction, and that intervention. So really nothing is living in a separate kind of place. So when we talk about curriculum, you're going to be able to like generate standard aligned courses. And that's what we've done for the CS10 course. So it is really unique about Kira is how we do handle that kind of like curriculum. So teachers and districts can generate complete standard aligned courses and lessons in minutes. So this really takes out, those courses that maybe you don't have a curriculum already assigned to it, or maybe you've been meeting over the summer to kind of build things together. I know I did that. So you could actually kind of create your own course, and then maybe that's something that the district wants to use for, we have someone creating something in forensics right now, because that's not something that they typically have, curriculum on. So Kira can ingest and then enhance what you guys already have. And so if you want to also launch something entirely new, a new CTE pathway, an AI literacy course, ACT prep, you can do this in hours and not years, and you can continuously adjust it. So it's not going to be something that's outdated. Again, within that curriculum, now you're going to have that built-in AI tutor. So this isn't just something that's going to give students answers, it's going to think about it and it's going to guide them through. So it's going to allow them to kind of help work through the problem thinking for them. It does support text to speech and speech to text, which is a huge like accessibility win there. And teachers can actually log in through the student view to experience like what the tutor would look like for their students. So this is really great for kind of like building that confidence within the content and understanding what your students would be able to see. So that's something also that the CS10 course is going to have. So making sure that you're aware of that and what that's going to look like. Now, I know that you guys are using Canvas, so we do have integrations with Canvas. This does allow for that grade sync to automatically happen. You can kind of pull your content out from Canvas and into Kira and vice versa. So that integration, rosters, assignments, and grade sync all happen simultaneously. So it's not something that your students would have to go out to Canvas to complete or anything like that. They can stay in the Kira platform and everything will go into Canvas. What we also do is build something called the Student Atlas. So this is continuously updated with the student's learner profile. So this is going to track their mastery, any gaps that they have, and then learning patterns across every lesson that they complete. So anything that is done within Kira, whether that's part of the course, a lesson, that's all going to feed into that student atlas. So you're going to be able to have access to see, is there something, a topic, a standard that students are going to need more help on, or is there something that maybe they need to have something more advanced because they have mastered that standard. Now, the standards are also going to be seen as multiple levels. So it's not just going to say that they've mastered it after they, worked on that standard one time. So it is an ongoing process. So being able to also have that, throughout the whole course is going to be helpful. With our assessments, so assessments aren't something that's done completely on its own. Assessments in Kira happens, at the end of a unit, but it's also woven into every single activity. So every lesson has some type of like embedded checks for understanding that are tied directly to those learning objectives. And then that data, again, flows right into the student atlas. We have AI assisted grading, which is aligned to, we kind of provide some rubrics, but you're able to change them. The district could also decide that this is the rubric that they want for their teachers. And so that's how it's going to appear within their Kira platform. And so this will reduce that manual grading, but it's also going to allow you to set what are you really looking for. So maybe in computer science, you might not be looking necessarily for what they're writing, right? And so changing that rubric to really align with what the course is from a variety. So it doesn't have to just be computer science, it can be other courses as well. And then this keeps the teachers fully involved in the grading process, but takes out some of that extra work. So teachers can always change the rubrics. They can always change the score that it has assigned to students, and it can also change any feedback. So AI can provide feedback to students, but teachers can also go in and provide feedback. It will note if it's AI feedback, or it will note if it is the teacher's feedback. So there's lots of different options there to kind of work through those assessments. And again, they don't have to be just this end of course, like summative assessment. It's all woven throughout for those quick checks. And then interventions. This is really where Kira, I think, steps in and looks different from other platforms. Because students are working within Kira, that data then becomes actionable for teachers. So as our students are working, Kira is identifying skills in that skill gaps in that real time. And it's flagging students who may need additional tiered support, really before they fall behind. I know when I would pull small groups teaching fourth grade, I would be looking at assessments that we took the week before, but I've already moved on to a new skill. And so those students, maybe they missed a few questions, but I wasn't, aware until I scored everything. And then I kind of had to do my own item analysis. And maybe it wasn't the whole standard that they were really struggling with. So this allows you to see into a deeper view of what that looks like. So teachers can instantly generate differentiated versions of assignments that they're about to assign. And this can be really personalized to those students. All of this kind of replaces like the spreadsheets and the dashboards that you would need to go to. So all of that together with the assisted interventions, you're going to be able to see that within that student atlas. So again, everything kind of compiles together and builds into what you would see, like you see on the screen here. So that student atlas is going to show the zones of proximal development. It's going to show the standards that they've learned, right? And it's going to show the standards that they're still missing. It's also going to show exactly, quick areas where they can do recommended actions. And that can then be assigned just to those individual students, or it could be assigned to the whole class. So there's lots of different ways that Kira can help assist and really personalize what's happening within the classroom without a teacher having to, recreate everything. So lots of different ways here. What we wanted to kind of go over was this is the platform that the CS10 course is going to be in. So you're going to have access to all of these things on top of that CS10 curriculum. And so wanted to give you kind of like a brief overview of what Kira has to offer. And then I'm going to kick it over to Courtney, and Courtney's going to go through what exactly the CS10 course is going to look like for you all.
Guys, nice to meet all of you. As Lauren mentioned, my name is Courtney. I am a former math and computer science teacher in New York City public schools, and now I work as the senior manager of teaching and learning for Kira. So I will be one of the folks running the summer training for teachers. And as Lauren mentioned, there exists in Kira a fully built out CS10 curriculum, which is that Introduction to Computer Science course for North Carolina. It is fully standard aligned to North Carolina computer science standards. It is the course that meets the graduation requirement that they can start taking in middle school or take in high school. And because it is fully built out in Kira, it is supported by all the Kira AI tooling, and it is able to include a wide variety of activity types, from your standard multiple choice, free response, code writing problems, to really customizable action tiles and whiteboard activities and kind of everything in between, which is really, really cool. The course itself starts with a nice slow on-ramp to coding where they learn the beginnings of Python in our very friendly platypus environment. They then start exploring data and data analysis and the internet and networks before diving into some deep AI literacy and ethics, and then moving back into some of the more complex coding where they build into further control flow and loops and functions and all of the things that will build out a nice, well-rounded computer science curriculum. Now, I know for many computer science teachers, they are not necessarily coming in with formal computer science background. I taught math and computer science. I had no computer science experience prior to teaching it. I went to a lot of trainings to build that up and be able to teach those classes. And that is really where this summer training comes into play. So over the course of the summer, we'll be offering a free training on the content of CS10 for any teachers who would like to join us. And while we will be covering all of that standards aligned content, which they could apply anywhere, they will be doing it through the lens of this Kira course. So this will be a 9-week fully virtual program. So folks can, join from the lake house, join from the beach, if that is what is going to make the most sense for them. And they'll be learning all of those core topics like Python, data as it relates to computer science, how the internet works, what's going on with AI, while experiencing the course on Kira as a student. So these weekly virtual sessions, when they meet with us, will serve as a content review. During the week, when we are not meeting, they'll be working asynchronously through the course. Then they'll meet to chat about the content, to chat about pedagogical skills related to teaching this material once they get in front of students, and kind of everything in between. So our training is going to look like a longer half-day session to start. We will have a 4.5-hour session on Tuesday, July 7th. The goal of this session is to make sure they fully understand the program and get them through those first 3 units live together. Then when we send them away, they're going to work on units 4 and 5 asynchronously ahead of our next session. Unit 4 there's no coding in it. That's our AI unit. Unit 5 is a very code light. They're kind of dipping their toes back into Python after their introduction, so it should be very reasonable to get done in one fell swoop. Then they will come and meet with us for 2 hours. We will review the 2 units they went over, and every week thereafter will follow the same pattern of them asynchronously completing some work and then meeting with us virtually. As a final session, we will offer some optional office hours on August 11th. This will primarily be focused towards teachers who are choosing to teach with Kira during the school year to make sure they know how to set up their classes and assign their course and go through all of the flows that they will need to go through in kind of a standard teaching day, as well as making sure that they know how to use Kira tools to customize the curriculum that they have been given to make it fit their classroom and population and teaching style. And we can go on to the next one whenever you're ready. Thank you.
Okay.
That was a great natural pause for me. I need to take a breath anyway. So I know for some of you who may have teachers who you're wondering, who should I be advertising this to and how should I be getting them into this program? Because nothing is going to be more frustrating for a teacher than being dropped into a class they don't know what to do with come August, September. We would recommend for people who are attending this are either middle or high school teachers who plan to teach this course. This course is going to assume no prior knowledge for people coming in, so they do not need to be a computer science expert. In fact, it is excellent if they are not. The computer science experts likely do not need our help beyond learning how to get on to Kira if they're using our curriculum. We're going to make sure that they build all of those skills together with us. In addition to making sure they have that content knowledge and teaching confidence, we want to make sure new to computer science teachers are feeling good as they leave. And we have a special offer that I'm sure Lauren can talk more about to anyone interested. For folks who complete the training and are interested in using Kira to teach, they will receive half-price licenses for the Kira curriculum and again, access to all of those other things on the platform that Lauren mentioned. So if you have teachers who are going to be in this boat of needing to teach this very important graduation requirement and are maybe at a loss for where to start, this summer training is certainly one avenue to get them going and make sure they feel good about it when they walk back into the classroom. And those are kind of the big points from us. I don't think we have any slides after this to talk about, but I would love to open it up to folks here. If y'all have any questions, if you want to raise your hand and unmute and ask them, if you want to drop them in the chat or in the QA window. Lauren and I are both happy to answer any questions or clarify anything that you may need. Oh, and I see Christy typing. I love seeing a question coming in.
Yeah, so Christy, our typical pricing will depend, like if this is going to be just a single use for a teacher, or if this is going to be something that like the district wants all, CS10 teachers to use. So pricing will kind of vary. I can tell you though that if it is a single teacher using it and you go through the course, it's $25 per student. And any kind of questions, like if there are pricing questions or for like the district, you all can reach out to myself and I can be the point of contact to kind of put pricing together for you all. Yes, thank you.
Is there a way to get a preview of the platform and curriculum before to look at it? So yes is the short answer, and I can certainly show you some of that right now. Give me 1 second. I need to figure out what account I have the curriculum in, and then I can certainly show you. One quick caveat to looking at the curriculum, you are seeing it mostly in the form that it is going to exist in. Kira has released some really fun new features over like the last few weeks. So our curriculum team is actively going through and updating some of the course content to make use of these new features. So I just want to make sure you know some of it'll look a little different. But let me pop on over. Do you mind if I take over sharing?
Yeah.
Okay, and y'all are gonna have to let me know if I'm like actually correctly sharing because as I mentioned, Teams and I it's like an ancient battle that we've been fighting for many years. So can we all Okay. I'm not hearing, I'm assuming like we're good to go, and I'm the void. But this is the Kira curriculum from the teacher side. So teachers will have access to the Kira curriculum through their Kira library, which I will show you momentarily. When they are shared on the curriculum, they will have the option to either use it exactly as is, or they have the option to modify as they see fit. So this is an example of a Kira lesson. This is the first lesson that students and teachers will encounter, and it is set up in a way that will support students working through this independently, or it is something the teacher can use whole class instruction for, and then turn the students over to just do their work here. As teachers go through and make changes to what is here from our interactive videos, which are course-specific videos with embedded questions where the students will need to stop and answer, to our platypus problems, which is the first place the students will code, getting our cute little Pepper the Platypus through these mazes. They have the option of changing any content here. So they can click in and change it directly. They can drag and drop all of these components around. They can also add their own text or media or even interactive elements if they want students to have more practice. That is something they can do manually, or they can do with the assistance of our Ask Kira AI. So if they open up this little Ask Kira AI in their own copy of the course, they can ask it to do things like add 5 more practice problems related to the topic of this lesson, or rearrange this lesson so it's just a worksheet because I'm going to teach the material hands-on and they go on Kira to complete their work. Whatever it is that they need to customize, they will have the support to do it. When this gets into the hands of students, they are going to see it like this, if my computer agrees to load for me. This is the student preview mode of the lesson I was looking at. My computer is being such a bummer right now. I apologize. I feel like as we get closer and closer to the end of the week, my computer is just like yearning for me to like shut everything down and close all my tabs, and it's just like death. We'll get there eventually though, hopefully.
Courtney,
Yeah,
there's
do
a
you have
question in the chat. Do you have to use all the lessons, or can you pick and choose which lessons you want to use?
Oh my God, that's such a great question. I think that's really up to the teacher and up to the school team. So we are providing you with a full 10-unit curriculum. And I think it is a pretty good curriculum. So if you'd like to use all of it, it is there. If the teacher or the school team, depending on how built out your computer science department is, looks through that and is like, lesson 5 in unit 3 is kind of repetitive, or like, I don't care that the students learn about dictionaries, I just want them to learn lists, you can remove those from the curriculum, or you can hide those so that the students are never going to see them. So we provide the curriculum and materials to you, but that is all other things are going to be under the control and power of the teacher and the schools to make those decisions. You can also, as Lauren mentioned, one of kind of the hallmarks of Kira is being able to create your own lessons. So I taught computer science for a very long time, and despite starting with no experience, by the end I had a lot of opinions about how to teach computer science and how I wanted to teach computer science. And so I would have been the teacher who's like making my own lessons and putting them in the course and like making supplemental materials and pushing them out to students. So as people become more comfortable, they have that power to kind of do what they need to do with this. This right now, this curriculum aligns to all of the standards that need to be hit in CS10. So this has been aligned and has been done for that. My computer has finally become agreeable. So this is student mode when teachers assign the course to students. They either locked, where students need to complete each step before they progress. They can also set release dates and deadlines so that students only see parts rather than everything at once to kind of keep them honest. Or they can assign it unlocked, which can be nice for older kids or kids who are maybe in kind of non-traditional settings where they just need more freedom to move. As students go through the course, everything in the course is supported by Read Aloud. They can highlight anything and have it read to them. They will see the activities like the interactive videos or like our platypus activities that they complete directly on the platform. And then as Lauren mentioned, it is all supported by our AI tutor who hangs out in the corner. They can go chat with the AI tutor about whatever may be bothering them to help get help and assistance without being given the answer. And again, this also supports the text-to-speech and speech-to-text portions. The curriculum as it stands now, again, starts with this programming entirely with our platypus. So they learn about kind of the basics of sequencing, basic control flow with simple conditionals and while loops. They get a little bit of introduction to variables, and then they pivot and go into lessons that are more about data, what kind of the computers look like behind the scenes, building up some of that knowledge, um, go into talking about the internet, how it works, how packets and data move, and all of those fun, exciting things that kids often take for granted. Unit 4, probably my favorite unit. Students learn about what AI is and what machine learning is. They do some really cool tasks and they look at some cool real world examples. A lot of this lesson also involves students thinking about the ethics of AI and trying to kind of grapple with how they would like to see AI used in the world and how it is used now, which was always my favorite topic to teach about with students. I thought it was a lot of fun. There are some optional extension projects that teachers can put to use if they would like, from making a zine about computational innovations to researching their community and trying to figure out what sort of data and technological solutions might be deployed to make life better. Then they go into kind of the big kid coding, where they have moved away from platypus and they are now focused on programming in more of a traditional environment where they are finding syntax bugs in our traditional code editors. Apologize, my window is tiny on my screen right now. But they get to write traditional Python. They get to be creative in some of the things that they write. And this goes through, the basics of data types and variables, through conditionals and control flow, into functions, through lists, and then kind of ends with them putting it all together with loops in Unit 9. Um, so that is the basics of what the curriculum is. We are happy to dig into this further with folks. There is somewhere in our drive also exists the curriculum map if anyone would like to see it. So that is
Courtney, we had
there.
another question too.
Yeah, when a student gets something wrong, what happens? Great question. So it's a little dependent on how the course has been set up by the teacher. When the teacher assigns a course, and foolish of me to have clicked away when I could have been showing you this live, there are some settings that you can decide on, like how many attempts students get per question. For things like multiple choice and fill in the blank, if a student only has one attempt, they immediately see if it was right or wrong. Um, when the students are getting things wrong repeatedly, they get what we call a nudge, where a little pop-up will appear that says, do you maybe want some help with this? And when they click it open, the AI tutor opens. It is fully content aware. It will tell them, like, it looks like you were struggling with this topic. Let's talk about it. And it then has the option to make some practice problems and give them some help and assistance. Um, for coding activities, coding is a little bit more obvious when you've gotten things wrong because it won't run. Like that's how you know that it's not correct. And they can use the AI tutor for that as well. It is also, again, context aware of what's happening on the page. So it's able to kind of look at their solution and look at an ideal solution and kind of help them figure out how to bridge those gaps and how to identify some of those mistakes that are being made, which is really useful for kids who are starting out and trying to figure out like where the colon goes and where do I indent and what should be capital and what should be lowercase. Um, there are also options teachers can choose to turn on, like a get feedback option for free response, which is not necessarily going to tell them that they're right or wrong, but is going to help improve the quality of their writing. So if a question has like a answer this and explain, and the student just says yes, if they click the get feedback, it is going to not give them the answer, but give them suggestions of like, this answer looks kind of short. What if you talked about this piece? Or what if you said how that made you feel, or how you know that the answer is yes, or whatever. So they have some extra tools to help build things out. Um, the other nice piece that I know Lauren showed on the screen briefly, the entire CS10 course has been tagged to North Carolina computer science standards, which means as students work through this course, all of the data from doing that work, from having things graded, rolls up into our class and student atlas. So teachers, in addition to seeing a traditional class grade book and the grader view of assignments, they can go look at the big picture of their class, and they can dig into, this was a sample math class, they can dig into where are students doing well and where are they struggling, but they can also use this built-in chat to understand what their class might need. So in addition to just asking for summaries, which are fairly detailed, they can ask it to like create a supplemental assignment that is going to help, the struggling students in my class, and it will generate that. You can generate tutoring activities, which show up in our chat pods. I have also found, and I will show you this through the student atlas just because I have an example that has already run. We won't have to wait on the AI. I have actually found it does a really good job of giving offline suggestions as well. So this is a sample student, also a Kira employee. We are not going to judge her math skills because I know she did this in about 2 seconds. But when I went through and asked, like, how do I help Bridget and what is going on with Bridget, I get a very detailed breakdown of like from where Bridget is right now, here's where she is, here's what's happening, and here is like a prioritized action plan to help her. And some of this is just topical, but some of this are like classroom things. Like you need to be having one-on-one check-ins with Bridget, and you need to give Bridget like easy wins so that she feels better and feels like she can tackle those big problems, which is really super cool. As I went through this conversation, I asked for the tutoring activity for Bridget. It went ahead and built out our chat pod activity. Chat pods are a discussion-based activity that you can launch and share students or a student in in the case of like personalized tutoring on. This one was auto-generated by the AI, and it wrote up a prompt about the things Bridget specifically is struggling with. And then it has something that is going to lead Bridget through a very targeted conversation that tackles kind of her weak points. And if Bridget is getting things wrong, it is going to help and support and scaffold those questions. If that tutoring activity wasn't what I wanted, I also have the option to build out a lesson. When I was teaching math, I typically had Friday as a practice day. So my students did an error analysis quiz, and then they worked and they practiced on whatever was missing for them that week. And you can use the student atlas to generate lessons like that. So I asked for a lesson in Kira, just like the ones we were just looking at for computer science, all about the things that Bridget is struggling with. It went ahead and built one out, and then it has this ready for me to open the outline for. And I just have to click generate once it is done, and it will make a lesson that I can then either edit or just directly assign to Bridget once it is done thinking about that. So all of that is fully available for, student if you are seeing a trend in students getting things wrong as you're grading their work. As far as PBL available in the course, there are some projects, and there are a few like optional projects that are bigger culminations of skills and focus in on some of the key pieces like minimum viable product and the development process to help students understand that. You can also pretty quickly build out whatever you might need for PBL in Kira. So if you are doing a larger activity, again, you can either manually build it, or if you prompt the AI, like I need this to be an exploratory activity students are doing. They need to have a very clear project journal, and it needs to culminate in their, final piece of work. that is something you can build and supplement if you feel like, the exact style isn't being met with what you have. Overall, super flexible, which can be really scary when you have something that like can do a lot if you're not sure where to go with it. But kind of the possibilities of how you choose to apply the things are a little endless, which to me is very exciting. And I think we got all the questions, but happy to answer more because I know I just did so much talking that my computer like tried to get rid of me by turning my camera off. But happy to answer any other questions or show you anything else that you might want to take a peek at in Kira. I can briefly, as I think someone is typing, I can briefly show you our library in just a Kira class. Emily, temp login so we could explore independently. I'll leave that one to Lauren because I just train the teachers. I don't do all stuff.
Yes, so you can create a free account on Kira to kind of log in and explore. I would also encourage reaching out to me if you do. That way we can put in a sample course or some sample lessons so that you kind of have that in your library to look at before it's kind of blank. So if you do want to create an account, again, it's completely free. So you can go ahead in there and you can start to kind of, play around. But I would reach out to me just so I kind of know, and then I can put in some content that's already in there built out for you. And then you could kind of make adjustments to that. And that's a little bit easier to also use the Kira AI chat to kind of see how those adjustments could be made to something that's already coming to you. Yeah, and we can definitely also share out some different resources with you as well.
It is fun to play around with. Like it is a cool platform. It becomes cooler when you get to do things with it. So do recommend playing around if you have the time and ability. I have
And
lost several
Michelle,
hours. Oh, sorry. Sorry, Lauren.
yeah, I would say, and Michelle, we can send out this so that you can kind of push that out to those that registered too. That way we can get that content out to them too.
Okay, sounds good.
Cool. Any other questions or things we can show you or talk about or answer?
And this is just a reminder that the webinar is also being recorded, so we will share out or post the information about the recording once it's finalized.
Thanks, Michelle.
Thank you, everyone.
Great. Well, thank you so much for joining.
Bye.
Bye, guys.